Hi, this is Corey Franklin with Remembering the Past, the show where we talk about people who've died recently who've had a profound effect on our society, our history, or our culture. And tonight we're going to start out with Angelo Dundee. Angelo Dundee died recently at the age of 90, and he was the most famous and best of all boxing cornermen. What is a cornerman, you might ask? Well, let's have him tell you.
Cornerman's a guy that's in the corner to help the fighter. That's what you're there for.
Well, cornerman is the technical term for it. In layman's parlance, he was a trainer, and he was the most successful trainer of our era. He trained 15 champions at different weight groups. He trained a number of other well-known fighters. Among the fighters he trained were Sugar Ray Leonard, George Foreman, and the most well-known of all, of course, Muhammad Ali. Angelo Dundee was a celebrity in his own right. Besides being a trainer, he was a fight commentator. He helped train a couple of actors for movie roles where boxing was important, including Russell Crowe, and he threw out the first pitch at Yankees games. Angelo Dundee was just a well-known guy all around. He was also known for all the things he would do for fighters. For Muhammad Ali, for instance, he was losing a fight to Henry Cooper early in his career. Angelo Dundee stalled on a pretext of finding him new gloves, allowed Muhammad Ali to gain his wits, and beat Cooper. He was able to manipulate the ropes in the ring in Kinshasa, Zaire, in the fight where Ali employed the rope-a-dope strategy against George Foreman and helped beat him. And he would use every psychological ploy he could to help his fighters win fights. Here's Angelo Dundee telling his own story.
I didn't go through nothing. I had a lot of fun. See, I was a very fortunate human being that worked at something he loved. So I always had a great time, whatever day it was, whatever person I met, whatever fighter I trained, whatever newspaperman interviewed me, I had a lot of fun. I always had fun. I'm having fun right now, thank you. I was an aircraft inspector, went into the military during the war, came back. I had the good fortune of meeting Joe Louis in 1944. I met Ray Falmashon. I met Marcel Cerdan in Europe during the war. They used to be at these tournaments. I was fortunate enough to meet all those guys. The biggest thrill was meeting Joe Louis. Great man, great talent, and we got to be dear friends the rest of us, our artistic lives. Now, I had a lot of fighters, and a lot of them don't know the early years. The early years, I had kids around New York that didn't even have a name, but they were kids that wanted to be fighters, and they gave me an education. So you learn object lessons in life as you go along. I was a very fortunate human being. Was able to counteract those situations, and I had fun training fighters. My first trainer was Carl Basilio. And you know, Carl Basilio, I got the reputation of being a great cut man. And Carmen said, Angelo, you learned on my face. I had a lot of great fighters. I don't want to take nothing away from none of them. I've had 15 world champions, all different, all great to be around. Naturally, the exciting ones were the Ray Leonard, Muhammad Ali, George Foreman. They were the guys. I had Willie Pastrano, Ralph Dupas. These were great fighters. I had a lot of fun.
Well, as I said before, his greatest was Muhammad Ali. And here he talks a little bit about training Muhammad Ali, who always had respect for Angelo Dundee.
He was something that came along that we needed him. He was so great for boxing. He gave people something to talk about. Actually, the kid was an introvert. The explosion of adjectives was me. The poetry was me. It was bad. But coming from Muhammad, it was good. So we got away with a lot of good stuff, and the fans loved it. First fighter that talked was Muhammad Ali. I know for a fact because I studied all the fighters in the past. None of them talked. They said they do the fighting in the ring. But the fans today want to hear from the star. They want to know what it's about, what he lives, where he goes, his habits. So I made him a primary word.
Most of Ali's advisors were black, but as I said, he trusted Angelo Dundee, who was white. Another white man he trusted was Howard Cosell, and he was actually introduced to Howard Cosell by Angelo Dundee.
I made them meet each other. Two geniuses. They had a lot of fun together.
You may remember when we did Joe Frazier a couple of months back, the famous call by Howard Cosell, down goes Frazier against George Foreman. He was sitting with Angelo Dundee at the time, in fact mentioned Angelo Dundee in the Down Goes Frazier moment. Another one of Angelo Dundee's great fighters was Sugar Ray Leonard in the 1970s and 1980s.
I had Ray had me. We had a great, you saw me and Ray together tonight. It's real. We're together. He's a great human being, a tremendous talent. And I'm very fortunate to be able to work with talent like that.
The classic Sugar Ray Leonard fights were the fights where he defeated Thomas the Hitman Hearns and the fights against Roberto Duran. He lost the first time against Roberto Duran. The second time he beat Roberto Duran in the famous No Mas fight. Here Angelo Dundee talks about those two opponents.
He beat Hearns. He had the talent to beat Hearns, the speed, just the way my kid could move. Certain people beat certain people in boxing. Ray Leonard would beat Hearns every day of the week. Roberto Duran, the first fight, you got to remember one thing. If Roberto Duran spoke English, he'd be as great as Muhammad Ali. Great talent, great sense of humor. He got Ray Leonard mad at him. We met on the street in Montreal. He told Ray Leonard in front of his wife he was going to beat him up and then he was going to take his wife out. And that made unnerve Ray. He out-psyched Ray. But the second fight, we straightened it out.
In Zaire, Angelo Dundee helped Muhammad Ali beat George Foreman. George Foreman was smart enough years later, when he was making his comeback in his 40s, to hire Angelo Dundee. And in his mid-40s, George Foreman became the champion of the world with the help of Angelo Dundee, which he explains here.
He's a remarkable man, knows how to train at his age. And I tell everybody up in age, check with Foreman how to train properly. The George Foreman that fought that night would have given Muhammad a tough fight. Steady, slow but steady. That beats a lot of guys.
Here Angelo Dundee talks about another one of the great fighters of our generation.
The most remarkable fighter to me today is the kid from Atlanta, Holyfield. Remarkable. I never thought this guy would be a fighter, the way he trained. Such tough training and vigorous training. And he survived all that, and he became a great fighter. Remarkable.
Here's Angelo Dundee on his celebrity status and throwing out the first pitch at Yankee Stadium.
I've thrown first pitches out, and I want you to know I reached the catcher. Very happy. I didn't throw no hooks or curves. Strictly a high ball.
Angelo Dundee finally reflects on the state of boxing and the future of boxing.
The kids are going into other things because they're more available. You make money quick. Boxing, you don't make money quick. You got to work for it. It's a tough hustle. And let me tell you, a fighter got to be a special individual to be a fighter. You got to be loose as a goose to be a fighter, and you got to be quick. And that's the kind of guys you look for. One thing I don't like is when they say they put boxing into etc. Other sports. Boxing belongs top line because boxing to me is special. Fighters that become fighters are very special human beings. Not everybody can be a fighter. And I'm proud that I work with these guys.
He should be proud because no one did more for boxing than Angelo Dundee. Move on to another nice Italian boy, nice Italian actor from New York City, Ben Gazzara. He died recently at the age of 82. He was born on the Lower East Side, went to Stuyvesant High School, then went on to CCNY before he started acting. Ben Gazzara was one of the finest actors of his generation. He was at the New York School. He was good friends with Peter Falk, who we did last year, and John Cassavetes, and he was good on both Broadway and in the movies. But he never had the real desire to star in the movies, so he was never as big a star as his talent. He started out on Broadway. He was in the original cast of Cat on a Hot Tin Roof as Brick, the role that Paul Newman went on to play in the movies. By the way, Ben Gazzara's understudy as Brick was Cliff Robertson, who we did last year. And then he moved on to the movies. He was in Anatomy of a Murder with James Stewart, and then he went to television. Interesting thing is Ben Gazzara started on a TV show called Arrest and Trial in 1963, and Arrest and Trial was sort of 45 minutes of the arrest of the suspect and 45 minutes of the trial of the suspect. What does that sound like today? That's right, this was the original Law and Order, 25 years before Law and Order. Ben Gazzara was the head cop in the first 45 minutes, and the lawyer, by the way, in the second half was a post-rifleman, Chuck Connors. In any event, that's not where Ben Gazzara made his name in television. Most people learned about Ben Gazzara from a mid-1960s TV show called Run for Your Life, which was from the fugitive genre. It's about a guy who had a year to live and had to make the most of his life in that time.
You have at least 9 months, lad. Perhaps as much as 18.
The first doctor gave me from 1 to 2 years.
I hope he's right. What are you going to do?
Well, I have no family. Haven't taken a day off since law school. Guess I'll try to squeeze 30 years of living into 1 or 2.
Now, Run for Your Life was a pretty good show. When it ended, Ben Gazzara went back to the movies. He did his first big movie with John Cassavetes and Peter Falk called Husbands. They were all buddies in that movie. It's a pretty good movie. He went on to do another Cassavetes movie called The Killing of a Chinese Bookie, where he was tremendous. I picked out a selection of a movie called Tales of Ordinary Madness in 1981, where Ben Gazzara does a tour de force performance as the poet Charles Bukowski. Here he recites one of Bukowski's well-known poems called Style.
Style. Style is the answer to everything. A fresh way to approach a dull or dangerous thing. To do a dull thing with style is preferable to doing a dangerous thing without style. To do a dangerous thing with style is what I call art. Bullfighting can be an art. Boxing can be an art. Loving can be an art. Opening a can of sardines can be an art. Not many have style. Not many can keep style. I have seen dogs with more style than men, although not many dogs have style. Cats have it with abundance. When Hemingway put his brains to the wall with a shotgun, that was style. Or sometimes people give you style. Joan of Arc had style. John the Baptist, Jesus, Socrates, Caesar, Garcia Lorca. I have met men in jail with style. I have met more men in jail with style than men out of jail. Style is a difference, a way of doing, a way of being done. 6 herons standing quietly in a pool of water. Or you walking naked out of the bathroom without seeing me.
You get a feel for what a great actor Gazzara was there. That, by the way, is the same role that Mickey Rourke played in Barfly, but I personally thought that Gazzara was better playing Charles Bukowski. In any event, we're going to close on that note tonight. I want to thank my producer, Sid Tepps. And as our closing music, we're going to play the theme song from Ben Gazzara's TV show Run for Your Life. It was written by Pete Rugolo, another nice Italian boy, and it's familiar to anybody who watched TV in the mid-60s. It's our final tribute to a great actor on Broadway, in the movies, and on television, Ben Gazzara.